Hello everyone. So, in this lecture we will discuss on the social and health education after the continuance of the concept of health and disease. In this lecture we will discuss about the nutrition, what is the micronutrients, macronutrients and what are the other nutrients like fats and proteins, what is the energy yield. So, we will discuss start with the nutrition definition. So, what do you mean by nutrition is it is defined as the science of the food and the relationships to the health. Okay. So, it is concerned primarily to the part played by the nutrients in the, of course, the ultimate goal is the body growth and development and maintenance, okay, to be out of these disease condition, to be healthy. So, we are planning for the balanced diet, and in the balanced diet we want the appropriate concentration of the all of the nutritious components like fat, proteins, carbohydrates. Okay. So, there are the classification of the foods on the basis of the origin, or there are some other classes. So, in the class number 1 we are classifying it on the basis of origin, means the animal origin foods and the vegetable origin food, they have the different nutrients. So, there is one classification here. The second classification is on the basis of chemical composition, they should also be required in the appropriate amounts. So, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins and minerals. And the next we will discuss about what is the energy yield, on how much percentage we are requiring it in our food, so to make it a balanced diet. Okay. The other classification is by the predominant function. So, there are some foods which are making our body building, which are building our body. So, they are called as body building foods like milk, meat, poultry, fish, eggs, pulses, groundnuts. Then there are some foods which are giving a very high energy. So, they are called cereals, sugars, roots, tubers, fats and oils. There are some foods which are helping our body to fight against of the diseases. So, they are the protective foods, vegetables, fruits and milk. After that there is one classification on the basis of a nutritive value. So, we have cereals and millets, pulses, they are vegetables, then nuts and oil seeds, fruits, animal foods, fats and oil, sugar and jaggery, condiments and spices and miscellaneous foods. Okay. So, this is all the classifications how we can classify the nutrition on the basis of the different classification. Then nutrients, each nutrients have the specific functions in our body. So, there are some nutrients which are essential, you can say we are requiring it, and we have one division here you can see is the macronutrients, and another division will find micronutrients. Okay. So, what do you mean by macronutrients? They are bigger one. Okay. So, these are the proteins, these are the fats and these are the carbohydrates. Okay. Three things are included here in the macronutrients. We are requiring it in excess. So, we are calling it as a macronutrients, we are requiring more. They are also named as proximate principles. Okay. Need to note, because they form the main bulk of the food. Okay. Mainly we are taking these all of the things in our food. Okay. So, they are macronutrients. So, in the Indian dietary they contribute total energy intake. What is the total energy intake we have compared here? So, these values are important. So, excess of the energy intake is by the carbohydrate. Okay. So, we can see carbohydrate 65 to 80%. Then after that there is a fats, we can see we are required, means the energy they are giving is the 10 to 30% energy intake is. Then with the proteins here is a 7 to 15%. Okay. So, these are their energy intake according to the macronutrients we are taking. Then there are some micronutrients, they are smaller, required in a very small amount. So, they are vitamins and they are minerals. Okay. So, you should know these all things, what is macro and what is micro. In macro we have protein, we have fats, we have carbohydrates. In micro we have vitamins and we have minerals. Okay. So, vitamins and minerals, they are called micronutrients because they are required in small quantities, small amounts, and they may vary from a fraction of milligram to the several grams. Okay. Then you can see the energy yield of the micronutrients, means the macronutrients here. So, they are the nutrients and they are the energy yield here. Carbohydrates, 1 gram 4 kilocalories produced. Okay, this is the energy yield. For the proteins, we can see 1 per 1 gram 4 kilocalories produced, and for fats 1 gram 9 kilocalories produced. Okay, so higher energy is produced from the fats. Okay, so this we can conclude from this slide here. Then recommended dietary intake, energy and protein intake. So here we can see for the adult male and adult female. For the adult male, we have categorizing the 3 categories here. One is the sedentary workers, okay, who are not following the heavy work. Okay, so they have just means sitting all of the time, they are sleeping, means it's this type of job they are doing. So that is a sedentary worker. Then there is a moderate in between of the sedentary and heavy. Okay. So similarly, adult female, they are also categorizing into 3: sedentary, moderate and heavy. There is also one category called as pregnancy. In pregnancy, we require more of the energy. So there is a one we have added plus 350 in which of the category the female is, means if it is sedentary, we will add 350 in 1900. Okay. Then we will calculate as what is the energy. If the pregnant female is the heavy worker pregnant female, then of course we will add 22,850, we will add 350. So this is how we are calculating. Then for the lactation, of course 0 to 6 months, there is a, we can see we require more of the energy. So we will add plus 600. For lactation 6 to 12 months, we will add plus 520. Okay. Similarly, for the proteins, we can see the levels are, what are the proteins we are requiring per day, gram per day. Okay. So for the pregnancy, we are requiring plus 23. In which of the category the female is, we will add plus 123 in the basic value. Okay. Then lactation will add plus 19 and for the protein, and for lactation for 6 to 12 months there is plus 13. Okay. So this is we are seeing here. Then after that we can see the recommended dietary allowance. Okay. Recommended dietary allowance means how much the dietary intake is required. Okay. So there is a one formula we are calculating the recommended dietary allowance. So what is the formula is, we are taking the mean, okay, and we are taking the plus minus to standard deviation of that particular mean value. Okay. From that particular mean value, we will add plus 2 SD, or we can minus 2 SD also. So this is how we can fluctuate the recommended dietary allowance. Okay. So it is a level of the intake corresponding to the mean of plus minus 2 standard deviation, which is covering nearly 97.5% of the population. Is for the majority we are concluding here, for the majority we are putting the value here. Okay. Now recommended dietary allowance is safe. Okay. That is a safe level of intake, but the plus 2 minus standard deviation we are not doing for the energy. Okay. We are not doing it for the energy, because energy we are requiring at a optimum level only. Okay. We are just taking the mean value. We do not require either the plus 2 SD or we will not minus the 2 standard deviation in the energy. Whereas for the other components like the vitamins, okay, for the minerals, or for other components we can add these this number. Okay. The extra number we can add, or we can also deduct the this particular number. But for the energy, this is the optimum. So this point is important here, which need to note is RDA is often higher than the recommended minimum requirement for all of the nutrients, but not for the energy. Okay. So we will see. Yes, see here, recommended dietary allowance includes both daily requirement and some additional requirement for the period of growth or illness. Okay. So this is what I am telling you. If I am saying 20 micrograms. So, there may be the plus minus 2 standard deviation depending on the conditions the person have. We can add, if I am taking an example of 2 standard deviations. So, I am taking a 2 microgram or 3 micrograms, we can add or deduct. So, this is how we can fluctuate our recommended dietary allowance for the nutrients. Okay. Recommended dietary allowance is based on the estimated average requirement. Okay. It is a safe level approach, but for the energy you can see only mean or a average requirement is defined as a RDA. Okay. Then there is a one reference which is given for the Indian man and women. Okay. So, this is the ideal reference. Now, how a Indian man or how a Indian women should have the weight, height or BMI according to the particular age. Okay. And there are some parameters which we are including for these of the males or females. So, we have taken the age group of 18 to 29 years, both of the category for man and the women. Then there should be the weight, if there is a weight of 60 kg for the man, and Indian women we have the weight of the 55 kgs. Of course, the height we have included here for the height of 1.73 meters in the man and for the height of 1.61 meters in the women. Okay. So, we have calculated the BMI, which is an important component to determine the disease like hypertension, there is a coronary disease, heart diseases. Okay. For all of the diseases we are calculating, means this BMI component is affecting a lot. Okay. So, we are calculating it by weight and height square. Okay. So, that will be calculated as kg meter square. So, BMI for the 18 to 29 years with a weight of 60 kg and a height of 1.73, it should be 20.3 kg per meter square. Okay. For women it is 21.2. What are the other conditions we have taken in these Indian man and Indian women to follow all of these things? They should be free of the diseases. They are the active worker, they are engaging in some of the occupation, they have the 8 hours of the, means they are sleeping for 8 hours, they have 4 to 6 hours in sitting. Okay. So, these all of the parameters we have taken to define all of these values here. Now, coming to the individual macronutrients. So, we will start with the protein. Okay. So, here the proteins they are the nitrogenous compounds. Okay. They are the chains of the amino acids. They are composed of the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, these all of. Now, these proteins, okay, these proteins which are required for the bodybuilding, in all of these proteins, they are formed from the amino acids. Okay. So, there are basically 20 amino acids. Okay. From all of these, some are essential and some are non-essential. Essential means we are requiring it in a diet. Okay. Non-essential, which our body can make it, so we do not require it in our diet. Okay. Body can already synthesize it, can make it. Okay. So, these of the amino acids here, the example we can see leucine, isoleucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, valine, tryptophan, histidine. Okay. Now, see the protein quality of the food items. Okay. So, this is important from social health perspective. Which diet has more protein content? So, we have taken here some of the important food item like soya bean. Okay. Soya bean has a lot of means a good protein content, which you can see is a 43 gram% per 100 gram. Okay. So, comparatively you can see the levels, how the levels are going. Okay. Pulses, they also have the good 20 to 25 gram%. Okay. Fishes, meat, they are going down, you can see, and the cow milk we will find here the 3 gram% per 100 gram of the protein. Okay. So, accordingly we can prescribe it or recommend it as the situation is requiring. Okay. Then we have discussed about the proteins. So, there is a assessment. Okay. How will assess the protein, the quality of the protein. So, there are some assessment parameters also. We will see protein energy ratio, means how much the protein we are taking and how much the energy which is formed from that protein. So, Protein energy ratio, here is the assessment of protein quality which is done by the PE, just short named as. What is the formula, means how we are calculating the energy. So, energy from the protein and how much the energy which is formed from the diet. Okay. So, that comparison we are taking here, and we can see the PE values. There are some examples we have taken here, means we have put here. So, fish we will see. For fish, there is the 80% protein energy, okay, ratio. So, we will find it is very high in the fish compared to the other one, the cow milk and the dal or the rice. Okay. So, this is giving lot of energy. Okay. Then there are some other methods which we are using for assessing the protein quality, is the digestible indispensable amino acid score. Okay. There is also one parameter, protein digestibility corrected amino acid score. What are the others? We will see first and then we will do the definition. Amino acid score, okay. Then amino acid scores, and after that there is a protein efficiency ratio, then biological value and net protein utilization. Okay. So, this is a net protein utilization. These all are the methods for assessing the quality of the protein. So, we will see what are the differences in all of these methods. Digestible indispensable amino acid score. Okay. By the name, I think this is clear. Digestible means it has a capability for the digestibility. Indispensable is the essential, okay, essential amino acid. So, digestible essential amino acid means which is required in the diet, we need to take it from the outside. Digestible essential amino acid mg in 1 gram of the dietary protein. Okay. So, we will calculate this, means what diet we are taking, and in those diet what is the amount of digestible essential amino acid. We are taking one standard here, digestible indispensable amino acid mg in 1 gram of reference protein, and that reference protein can be anything. So, that is a standard. This is how we are comparing that how much the digestible amino acid is present in our diet, okay, which we are taking. Then protein digestibility corrected amino acid score. So, every amino acids have a different digestibility score. Okay. So, we have given those scores. Okay. On that basis we are checking at what is the quality of the proteins, okay, what is the quality of the diet we are taking and how much the protein, the quality of the protein in our diet. Okay. Then amino acid scores. Okay. So, here we are not taking the digestibility component, we have given only the quality of the amino acid. Okay. How much amino acids are present. So, on that basis also we are saying yes, how much the protein we have in our diet. Okay. Then after that there is a protein efficiency ratio. Okay. Whatever the protein we are taking, that should be efficient also, that should be capable of making the body building, that should be effective for whatever the purpose our body is taking it. Okay. So, this is under the protein efficiency ratio. Then there is a biological value. So, biological value, there is a one scale biological value and there is another scale net protein utilization. These both terms, in both of these terms we are taking the values of nitrogen. Okay. The only difference here is the, for the biological value we are measuring the amount of nitrogen. Okay. So, in the amino acids, in the proteins are formed from the amino acids, and in the amino acids we have the nitrogen. So, we are measuring the amount of nitrogen which is retained. Okay. Of course, whatever the nitrogen is retained, this is useful, this is the functional. Okay. So, we are calculating here the nitrogen retained in comparison to the nitrogen which is absorbed. Okay. Now, in the net protein utilization we will see we are taking the nitrogen used for the tissue formation versus the nitrogen which is digested. Okay. So, tissue formation means whatever the nitrogen which is retained, and we are taking in comparison nitrogen digested. Okay. So, I will tell you the difference here, biological value and nitrogen protein utilization. In biological protein, just see, in biological value we are seeing nitrogen retained, okay, to the nitrogen absorbed. Okay. In the NPU, net protein utilization, what we are taking, the numerator is same, nitrogen retention, okay, to the nitrogen digested. The only difference you can see here, the numerator is same, the denominator in the biological value we are taking absorbed nitrogen, whereas in NPO we are taking nitrogen digested. Okay, so there is a difference between these two terms, nitrogen absorbed and nitrogen digested. These are very good parameters like biological value and net protein utilization. They are the best parameters we are seeing for the assessment of the proteins. Okay. Then after that, there are some other measures also we are taking in the assessment of protein nutritional status, like we can check the serum albumin, okay, we can check the creatinine, we can check the creatinine height index, we can see the serum albumin, transferrin. Why? See, the proteins are forming the body. Okay. Now, if we are taking a good protein, the quality is high, of course these values will vary, okay, these values will be good. So, the muscle arm circumference will be good, it would be in a normal, it will be in a ideal range. The creatinine values, because we know that the proteins when they are metabolized, they are forming the creatinine, okay. So, the values of creatinines are also showing that the person is taking a good quality of a protein. So, at the time when the patient has a high creatinine level in the urine, it is reported. At the time we are also asking the patient for the diet, okay. The patient, if the patient is taking a high quality protein, the chances that means this is the creatinine levels are high with this thing, okay. So, there are other levels, I told you these levels we are checking here, they are the levels you can find for the serum albumin, what is a normal. So, the normal, it should be more than 3.5 gram per DL per deciliter, okay. If the level is a level of 3.5 gram per deciliter is considered a mild degree of malnutrition, okay. At the time we are saying yes, the patient should go for the means will include the protein intake, okay. And of course, if it is less than 3, there will be a severe malnutrition, that is also we will check by the mid arm circumference, okay, the creatinine, the albumin levels or the other type of methods, okay. Then after the macronutrients of the proteins, we have the another macronutrient is the fats, okay. Now the fats are and oils, they are also required for making the bodybuilding, and they are classified into these types: simple lipids, compound lipids on the basis of their structure or how they are derived, okay. So, there are derived lipids also. Simple lipids we have triglycerides, then compound lipids, phospholipids, derived lipids, under this there is a cholesterol, okay. So, they are required in the appropriate amount. If they are higher, there are chances that the person will get the cardiac disorders, okay, heart disorders. So, fats, the human body can synthesize triglycerides and cholesterol in the body, okay. Most of the body fat in the adipose tissue is in the form of triglycerides, means it is in the stored form, okay. And when it is required, it starts to break down, it starts to be in the plasma, okay. In normal human subjects, adipose tissue constitutes between 10 to 15% of the body weight, okay. So, this point you should keep note, okay. Now, see the fatty acids, they are divided into saturated or unsaturated, okay. Fat yields fatty acids and glycerol on hydrolysis, okay. Fatty acids are divided into saturated fatty acids, such as examples are lauric, palmitic acid, stearic acids, and there are also unsaturated fatty acids, okay, which are classified under 2. Unsaturated fatty acids are polyunsaturated fatty acids and monounsaturated fatty acids, okay. Means in monounsaturated fatty acids, of course, double bonds is triple bonds, they are just means at one place, whereas in polyunsaturated there are many double or triple bonds will find, okay. Now, there is a one point, the polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are which we will say they are good, okay, they are good for body, polyunsaturated fatty acids are mostly found in vegetable oils, okay, and saturated fatty acids, they are found in animal fats, okay. So, unsaturated fatty acids, they are animal fats, saturated are animal fats, and unsaturated are vegetable. But there is one exception. So, we will see what is the exception here. See, there are exceptions such as coconut and palm oil. This is a vegetable oil, okay, but this is under your saturated fatty acid, okay. Whereas fish oil, which is a animal origin, okay. So, this contain your poly and unsaturated fatty acids. So, these are some exceptions. Then coming to the essential fatty acids. So, essential fatty acids are those that cannot synthesize. So, I already told you in the proteins also, there are some proteins which are essential, means which are required by the body, which are required in the diet, okay. So, similarly the essential fatty acids, we are requiring it from the diet, okay. Now, the essential fatty acids, they are the most important essential fatty acids is a linoleic acid, okay. Now, linoleic acid is used for the production of other essential acid, that is why it is a main component, okay, linoleic acid. This is a main component we are requiring, and if a person is deficient with these of the fatty acids or essential fatty acids, there is one deficiency you can find, there is a phrenoderma, okay, which is known as a toad skin. So, it is known as toad skin, and in which there is eruption on the skin, okay. So, there is a rough rashes, eruptions on the back sides of the arms and legs, okay, and whole of the body. So, there is a roughness on the skin we will find from this deficiency of the essential fatty acids. There is a one omega 9 fatty acid, which is non-essential fatty acids, okay. So, the body can synthesize it, and that is why it is considered as non-essential, whereas omega 3 and omega 6, they are required, means they are required to take from the diet, they are essential, okay. So, their ratio is required in the ratio of 1:1 to 4:1. They are very good for our health, okay. So, these are recommended to reduce the incidence of the coronary heart disease, okay. Then you can find here there are some dietary sources, okay. So, these dietary sources, this is important from social health perspective, which dietary source has a higher linoleic acid, which is required for the production of other essential fatty acids. So, safflower oil or corn oil or sunflower oil, you will find here they have the highest percentage of linoleic acid. So, the person who has a risk of coronary heart disease, and we want to reduce the risk of all of these things, the cardiac disorders, at the time we can recommend these dietary sources, safflower oil or corn oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, okay. They have a good amount of linoleic acid. Similarly, for the arachidonic acid, linolenic acid and eicosapentaenoic acid, okay, the levels are defined here, how much content is given, and accordingly the situation is requiring will recommend these of the sources to the person, okay. Similarly, you can see the differences here, saturated fatty acids, monounsaturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids. So, first of all I will tell you monounsaturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids, they are good for health, okay. So, we require it in a more quantity, okay. So, see safflower oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, they have a good values for polyunsaturated fatty acids 75, 65, 62 like this, okay. Whereas saturated fatty acids, they are not good for health at that level as the monounsaturated or polyunsaturated. So, you will find here the coconut oil has the highest levels of saturated fatty acids. So, they are not good for health, okay, but they have the highest SPA value, okay. Palm oil, similarly they have the SFA, saturated fatty acids, they have the higher saturated fatty acids level. Accordingly, we will fluctuate these levels when it is required in the persons, how it is required Okay. So, will prescribe or will recommend these of the dietary sources to the people. Okay. So, thank you so much everyone. I hope this is clear to all of you. The next part of the macronutrient will discuss in the next lecture.